Morning, Rover riders. Well, as you can see, I've got the Rover up on the makeshift stand. We're going to start working on the brakes here. Just a quick update here. I got out of Facebook jail on the 17th, and within 38 hours I got thrown back in Facebook jail because we got too many snowflakes on Facebook. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on Facebook. I've got it set up now so that I'm in 4 groups. I'm in 3 recumbent trike riding groups, and I have 1 veterans related group that I'm in where I only read messages. I'm not going to be replying to them anymore. Both times I've been thrown in Facebook jail have been in private groups where I was replying to people based on messages and the subject matter, but that doesn't matter to the people on Facebook. So I have no way of posting that I've done another video to you folks. So if you don't mind, take a moment here and look down below there, check that subscribe button, hit that little bell notification so that way when I do post something, whether I'm on Facebook and they're able to notify you or not, you will get notified here from YouTube. And okay, let's get on with this brake job here. TerraTrike made over 1,000 of these Rovers, and I was a little bit disappointed when I sent them a message asking them about these brakes. They couldn't even give me a model number at first, and only after I told them, hey, after building 1,000 of these things, you'd think you guys would have at least some kind of information on them, because there is no model number stamped on these at all. I've had this apart once before, just recently, just to check the brakes, and they were able to at least give me a model number. These are Alhanga brakes, model MJMD11, and they use a Alhanga HJDS10 brake pad, which is the equivalent of a Shimano M515 pad. For those of you who don't know what those look like, here they are. These little pads right here are the brake pads. They're not very big. This is only about give you a comparable an idea. These pads are only about 1.25 inches across and about 3/4 of an inch high, or 7/8 of an inch high, the pad wise, and about 1.5 inches tall overall. Now, I've learned a couple of things about these brakes, and I'm going to show them to you in just a second here. Now, if you remember the old 10-speed bikes of yesteryear, you will recall that they had side-pull caliper brakes that used to grip the tire. Okay, these side-pull caliper brakes, I want to zoom out here, that we used to have on the old 10 speeds, they would come in like this, and one side would pull right here on the bike rim. That's how you stop those. Well, these calipers down here are very similar to that, except instead of grabbing the edge of the bike wheel back here, they now grab a hold of this rotor right here. Okay? And that's how this thing stops. If you look at this, which I'm sure you can see, I gotta zoom in a little bit here. Get a nice picture of it here. You'll see that the wire, your brake cable, there we go. Your brake cable comes up from the back side here, right here, comes up here, and then comes up to this part. And when you pull this, this part right here activates this little system right here, which moves this pad on this side of the rotor against this one. This pad is the stationary pad. Now I don't know if you can see that very well in here, but here is the stationary pad right here. Okay, and down in here where it's very difficult to see is the pad that goes in. So if I grab the brakes and I push on them, you'll see that this moves up, and if you look down in there, you'll see what it's doing. It's actually gripping that rotor. It's actually moving the rotor here. This rotor is actually moving inwards when I press it. Okay, you can actually see the rotor actually moving a little bit here. But this is how it works. Now, I've had this apart once already, and I've looked at it, and there isn't a lot of information on here. There are a couple adjustments you're going to be able to do to these things, and I have never adjusted these or anything. I haven't touched them at all. This is a model year 2017. This is the original set of brakes on it. We've got about 160 miles on them totally, from what I understand. I could be wrong, because I did buy this trike used. But as you can see on the tires here, and again I'm gonna see if I can back this thing out. These are the original tires. They still have the little plastic rubber nubs on the side of the tires. I don't even have them worn in yet. And I've got 150 miles, about 100 miles or so on this thing, 120 miles on it. And these tires aren't even worn in yet. So that's got to tell you something. Do I need to change these pads out? I don't know. But if you saw the previous video or saw some of my postings on Facebook when I was able to post, you would have seen that I do have a problem. One of these things is out of adjustment, and I do believe it is this inside pad here that is out of adjustment. But we're going to go ahead and take this thing apart. We're going to show you how to change this out and what you need to do to maintain these brakes. Now if you go to the Alhanga website and you type in the model number, they will show you what this looks like. But they don't have the box on there that has the specifications for this. I can't get it to pull up any information. Now the one thing about this Rover, and about all Rovers, is that if you look at the brakes, you're going to find that the port side brake sits above the horizontal center line of the wheel. And if you are able to come over here and look at the starboard side or the right side of the bike, you're going to see the brake is located down below over here. Okay, it's down below the center line of the wheel, and this is because of how this caliper is made. And there's a couple of things that you need to know when you're doing this. Now, first of all, these are really easy to change out, but in order to change these brake pads out, you have to take this off. All right. Okay. Now, there are two socket head cap screws that take a 5mm wrench in order to remove this caliper. One of the screws on the port side is located right here, just behind the steering column here, and the other one's located down here. I'm going to try to get a better view of this if I can. So I'm going to crank the camera up here and see if I can get a downward shot of this entire system. Okay, I think you can see it a little bit better now. least I hope you can. I'll find out when I upload this to the computer and I play it. But one of the screws, you know what, I think I'm going to come in at this angle. Nope, that's not going to work either. Okay, this is much better. Okay, one of the screws is located right here, and the other one's right here. Okay? Now, there's something you got to be aware of when you're taking these things apart. And that is, of course, this thing right here. Okay, let me get this thing in perspective. This right here is the fender bracket. When you take this apart, if you do not have the fenders installed, there will be two metric washers that are spacers. When you take the screw out, they will fall down. Make sure you got your hand or something underneath it there to catch those. All right? Because they are important. If you do not put this fender bracket back into place, then you have to use those spacers in order to align this caliper so that it squeezes the rotor properly. So it's kind of important that you do not lose those spacers if you don't have this bracket. Also, this fender bracket is not indicated whether it's front or back. Alright, there's no front or back markings on it. So I'll give you a little trick to use. The front facing portion of the bracket will be the one with the tab right here that goes up. That tab goes up just like my scale is going up right now. Because when you put your fenders on, this is going to be one of the connectors, and then the other connector is going to be over here. Alright? So when you go to put this on, make sure that this is going vertical when you go to replace it. Alright? Okay. Let's go ahead and take this thing apart. Now, I've got a couple tools here to do this with. Number one is I have this T-handle 5mm wrench, which is good if you got a lot of room. If you don't have a lot of room, I have this. This is a set of ball end. The ball end is on one end, Allen wrenches, okay, or whatever you want it. These are metric. This is the 5mm one. It's got the regular end on this end. It's got the ball end on this end. What this is good for is this right here is good for loosening and tightening. And once you got it to the point where you either have to totally loosen it or totally tighten it, you use this end. But then you can use this end with the ball end to finish undoing it, or to get it started and get it, you know, in far enough so that you have to use this end to tighten it up. These screws are standard screws, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I also have this little thing. This is a little Nico wrench that uses the little removable bits. So I have a metric set of bits that are different metric sizes here, and this is reversible. Okay, I can go that way, I can go this way, and what this does is this allows you to get into tight quarters, because when you go to do the starboard side one, the right side one, you're going to need something like this. You don't have a lot of room down there. For some reason, the way that thing's built, that screw, and I know you probably can't see it from right here, but I'm going to swing this around and see if we can get a shot of that. I'm going to try to zoom in on it. Let's see if I can get this thing to zoom in on this. Let's see. Let me see here. Okay. I think, is that it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Alright. If you can look very carefully, right over in here, see if we can point this out to you. Right over here, where where my steel thing is, where my rule is, right here is the knuckle for the steering, and right there is the screw right next to it almost. It's just slightly in front of it, so you don't have a lot of room to get in there in order to get that. Okay? And when we go to take that one apart, I'll get better video coverage of it here. I'll get a better shot of it. But I wanted to show you that because that's one of the things about this Rover. You can still work on them. Not that difficult to do, but it's going to take a little time. So let's go ahead and take this one apart. So the first thing I'm going to do is reach over here. I'm going to loosen this up. I'm not going to take the wire off. I'm going to leave the wire on. Okay, I'm going to leave the caliper or the brake wire on, simply because I don't want to have to reset it, and because at the end of the wire there is a little cap to prevent it from fraying apart. You know, going so that you can't put it through and back in. So I've decided that I'm just going to leave it on there, and for our purposes that's all we need to do. We really don't need to do anything else. Okay, so I've got the two screws undone, and I'm taking the top one out. Now you'll notice that on the top one, when you take these out, they have a little lock washer or a flat washer on them. You're going to want to make sure you don't lose the flat washer. Okay? Now we'll take the other one off. And again, because I'm using the ball end, it's a lot easier to get this thing out with. Got that loosened up. There, it just dropped down. Now I can lift it off. And voila. Here is the front of the left side mount for your fender. So we'll just drop that down like that. And this is our caliper. Now there's something I want you to do at this point. Alright? I want you to check this rotor. Run your finger along both sides. If this thing is really worn or gouged, you're going to have to replace it. If it's cracked, you're going to have to replace it, because that is what stops you. That needs to be smooth. Just like on your car, it needs to be smooth. So if you've got ruts in there, you've got grooves in there, you got to replace it. In order to replace it, you have to take the tire off the spindle here. Okay, you're going to have to remove the entire assembly off. Now this rotor is attached with these little screws right here. So once you get the tire off, it's really easy to change. And of course, changing the tire or removing the tire is very simple. You've got this nut right here that holds the tire in place, and it is an 8mm tire screw. This is a double threaded screw, meaning that there's thread on the outside of the screw just like a normal, but it's also threaded on the inside of the screw, and the reason for that, of course, is obvious. That is where your fender mounts to. So this is a regular standard righty-tighty lefty screw. If you were to have to take this tire off, do this. Put your wrench on here. Use solid, steady, slow but steady pressure, and you can break this screw loose. This is on here tight for a reason. Okay, you never want to smack these things with a hammer, because what will end up doing, you'll end up rounding out these threads that are in this nut. Okay, and then you'll have to use the easy out to get it out, and that can turn into a major project. The other thing you can do, get yourself a little piece of pipe, like 1/2 inch inner diameter pipe, steel pipe, say about a foot long. put it over this and use it like a lever. Give yourself a little leverage, and again, slow but steady, increasing the pressure and pushing down, lefty loosey, righty tighty. You will break this loose, and as soon as it's loose, you'll be able to spin it right out. The same thing when you put it back in. Okay, you want to put it in as hand tight, and then you want to slowly add pressure to it until it's nice and tight. You don't want to jerk it, you don't want to pound on it. Okay, that's the best way to go about doing this. Alright, cool. Now let's take a look at that brake. Alright, so here we got the brake. It's just laying up here on the tire. Okay, this is how it's going to look on your bike. It's going to be looking like that. Okay, there's a couple of things here that I want to show you. Number one, you can see the top of the pads right here and right here, and you can see the little spring thing that holds them together. There's a screw in here, right here, that holds it all together. When you get your Shimano brake pad kits, you'll notice right here in the bag, I don't know if you can see it right there, but right there at the end, there is a cotter key. Okay, do you see the cotter key right there? That's what they use on theirs. This one actually has a threaded little screw. Okay, there's also a little screw right here, and there is an adjustment right here. This is your non-moving side adjustment. And as we look at this brake, caliper brake, and we rotate it around, you're going to see this information right here. And as we continue to rotate it around, you're going to see El Hanga. You don't see a model number anywhere on this thing. That's why I had to contact TerraTrike. Now let's get back to this information right here. It says F180 and R160. What this means is, if you use this on a front wheel, your rotor can be a size 180 rotor, and if you use it on a rear wheel, you need to use a 160 rotor. I don't know why that is, I just know that it is. I also know that this section right here, and you can tell I had some problems putting this together before I remembered a trick that I should have remembered a long time ago when putting this back on. This is the mounting thing, or the mounting bracket that mounts to the bike itself, and then this part right here to right here is your actual brake. So your actual brake is just this upper part, and when you do this, okay, there's your braking mechanism right there. You cannot adjust this screw right here. This is what holds everything together. So if I look here and I'm looking down at the brakes themselves that go in right here, okay, you can see your two pads there. I don't think these pads are very worn from the looks of them right now, but I'm going to replace them anyway because I do think that they need to be adjusted. Alright, so next I'm going to show you how to do that. Alright, next we're going to go ahead and change these pads out. You're going to take a 3mm wrench and you're going to take this connecting screw out. Okay, so we're going to put that out, take that out, and this is a little tight, okay, but it comes right out. I think it's, there it goes, yep, alright, and I don't want to drop this. This is the screw right here that holds it all together. Now you're going to notice there is a little ring cut groove in this end of it right here. There's some threads right here. So if I can put this back on there and hold it up, you can actually see it. Alright, once you do that, all you gotta do is push on it down like this, and voila, they pop right out. Look at this. They're popping right out of, well, they did last time. Alright, there they go. Okay, So I'm gonna go ahead and let that drop down, and I just knocked over my screws, but I'll give you guys an idea what these things look like. Here are my two pads. Now take a look at these pads. These pads are definitely worn. You can definitely see that they're worn. You can definitely see that there is a groove right here at the top. I don't think these are worn too far down. As I hold them together like this, they're not bad. And I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab one of these other new pads and compare the two. This is the new pad on this side. This is the old pad. You can see that there's not much difference to them. Okay, so why weren't these things stopping me? That's my next question. If I compare the two like this, they're still in pretty good shape. Do I really need to change these, or do I need to make an adjustment? And I'm thinking I need to make an adjustment. That's what needs to happen. So I've gone ahead and I posted on the Bent Riders forum to find out if this, I want to get this over here, if this side of the caliper, the non-moving side, needs to be put back in. But because I've got these pads apart, I'm going to go ahead and put the new ones in. Hold on just a sec. Okay guys, we're going to rebuild this thing now, and I'm going to show you kind of an easier way to do it. The hardest part of putting this thing back together is getting these holes right here to line up with everything. Here's your two mounting holes for your caliper. Now, what I'm going to do is take a couple of small Allen wrenches, and I'm going to use them as a guide. And unfortunately, everything's in the way for me to do this, so it takes a little. You got to do a little finessing stuff. But basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get these things so that when you put everything together, it's easier to line up those screws. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put this caliper back on the way it's supposed to go. And the way it's supposed to go is like this. Okay? Then we got to put our spacers in there. And in this case, my spacer happens to be the mounting bracket for the fender system. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully try to line up the holes here with, there, I got one of them. Okay, now I gotta try to get the other one in there, and this one's a little bit trickier because of where it's located at. Okay, I gotta find it first. Okay, there it is. And now I got to there we go. Alright, so I got these in here now. Now what this is going to allow me to do, well, I've got those Allen wrenches in there. You can see down here, and I'm looking through my lens right now, through the camera. You got one here, you got one here, you got them coming out on this side. It's going to allow you to take these screws and actually get them fed in a little bit easier, and then get them started. So that's what I'm going to do next. Alright, and it means you're going to have to play around with this just a little bit when you do it, but this makes it a lot easier to do, even though you don't have a lot of room to play with. Now I've got this on here, and I've got it, oops, that's what I didn't want to do. Didn't want to lose that, because now I got to play with this thing and try to get it, got to play with the caliper and try to get the caliper to sit in the right position so that this screw is no longer going to work. So I have to redo it. This can be very, very frustrating when you're doing this because of the way the thing's put together. And I'm trying to overreach around a camera at the same time I'm trying to do everything else. Okay. So we're going to try this again. Okay, I've got this one. Got that one. I think. Nope. Don't have that one. This is where, okay, there it goes. I think it just went in there. But this is where it gets tricky because you've got to get the screw started in the hole. Once you get the first screw in, the rest of it's pretty easy to do after that. I'm going to grab a flashlight here so I can see what I'm doing. That might help me to line everything up right. Tell me which way I got to go here. Okay, I only got to go a little bit upwards. Getting these screw holes lined up can be a real pain in the tail. And this one being a real bugger. It's not going the way I want it to go. Last time I got these things on, it took me about 10 seconds to get everything lined up. But this one's being a pain, as is typical. You will know when you got it in the right place because everything will just come together. Alright, I give up. I'm going to try the bottom one. I can get the bottom one to go first. I can work on the top one afterwards. But that's how you got to do it. I'm going to save some time here on the film. I'll let you know when I get the screws put in. Okay, I managed to get the thing back together. Now these two set screws are finger tight only. They are not completely tight. And the reason for that is because we have some adjustments to make. Now I don't know how well you can see this. I'm using a very bright flashlight trying to get some extra light on there. But if you look over here directly underneath my light, and if it shows up, I can't tell on this camera screen because it's too small. But there's a huge gap between the non-moving side and the rotor. And I have the barrel adjusters all the way in, and you can tell that when I grab a hold of this thing, okay, it moves quite a bit. It shouldn't be doing that. So the first thing we got to do in order to move this outside pad in over here is there is a little set screw, and I'm gonna have to move the camera for this Get some light on the subject here. Okay. Let's bring this down just a little bit more, I think. And now we can, there we go. There's a good view of it. Okay. Come on, camera. Okay. As you can see between the spokes here, there is a little set screw right here. This is what stops this screw from moving. Okay. This screw right here is the one that's going to actually move your pad in. I'm going to use my scale here to show you where it's located at, and it's located right behind the spoke, so you probably can't see it very well. Let me see if I can reposition the camera here for a better view. Okay, is that better? Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, so this right here is the adjustment screw to move that pad going inward. Okay, so what we have to do is, unfortunately, we have to use a 2mm wrench. We got to back out this screw just a little bit. Now, it doesn't take much to strip these little screws out, so we got to be very, very careful with the pressure that we use. And sometimes when you're doing this stuff one-handed like I am, it's almost impossible to get the Allen wrench to seat properly, because I am reaching around the camera trying to hold this thing still and trying to get this thing, this little Allen wrench inside this little hole, and I don't think it's gonna go. Okay, well, it'll go that way. All right, I am able to just with my fingers kind of back this out just a little bit. I hope that's enough. Okay, probably not going to be, but I'm gonna try anyway. Well, no, I can't get it anymore. I'm going to have to go this way. I'm either going to have to go up here. Oh, this is getting to be a pain. The joys of owning your own bike and working on it, right? Okay, now that's set. Okay, good. There we go. I got a quarter of a turn there. Maybe I can get it this way now. Oh, yeah. I can keep it in the hole. I can probably back that out. All right, there, good. It's nice and loose now. Okay, we don't want that too loose. Okay, now what I got to do is come back over here and reposition the camera. Crank it up again. And what I'm going to try to do is eliminate that gap. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my 5mm wrench again, and I'm going to try to adjust this tab here. I think I need to tighten these screws up just a little bit because I'm moving that thing way too much. I think it's too loose. Okay, there we go. That's much better. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust this pad in, and I'm noticing that it doesn't take much to do it. I mean, about a quarter of a turn is all I did. And that's too much. Now I'm going to back this out just a little bit. Okay, right there is where it starts to go. Okay, good. So I got the gap set right again. Okay, now I got to do one more quick thing, and that is lift this up and make sure that the tire spins freely. So I do that. Yes, it spins freely. I also noticed, I was looking down here at the rotor, it is spinning true. Now, the other thing that that I learned was your brake handle. Okay, when you engage a brake handle and you're squeezing it, it should start to engage your brake when you've squeezed it just 1/3 of the way. And if you look at the brake and you'll see it moving. Okay, this right here is 1/3 of the way, and I can actually feel it tightening already. So this brake is properly adjusted. So what I will do now Just come in here and tighten up these hold down screws to their proper tight. And by the way, if you need to put a drop of Loctite on these screws when you put them back in, go ahead and do that. It's very wise to use your blue Loctite on these. Okay, so this right here is now tight. Now I gotta come back and I have to tighten up the little set screw here so that this adjustment does not go out of whack. Now again, this is a very small screw. Got to be careful when you're tightening it up. You don't want to over tighten it, because if you do, you'll strip that thread out, and trust me, this one's so darn small, getting it out to replace it is going to almost require a machinist or somebody with a lot of machining skills. Okay, I can tell you that from past experience myself, being a tool maker for a number of years, that is what will happen. Okay, that's good. All right, so we've got the left side fully adjusted. All right, I'm going to move the camera here and I'm going to show you guys this. Okay, again, put some light on the subject here. This is your adjustment for your non-moving pad. There's a little lockdown screw, and again, watch the caliper part right here when I squeeze this. Okay, it's engaging right now. It's only a third of the way. That's where you want this at. You know, if you got to squeeze more than that, you need to adjust it. All right. Next, we're going to do the right side. Okay, so here we are on the right side of the brakes. Now, you'll notice down here, let's see if I can get my finger, down here, look at the gap right here. This side right here is going to be the side that is the non-moving side. Okay? And when you come up here and you grab a hold of your brake, more than 1/3, if it's not engaging, then you need to adjust that. And I'm going almost more than halfway before it starts to engage. So I definitely need to adjust that brake. But as you can see on the pad here, there is a huge gap between the rotor and the pad, and it's very hard to see because the tire is right here. But I can adjust that pad in. It's still got plenty of meat on it. If you look on the pad itself right there, that part right there, there's still plenty of meat on there, so I don't need to replace the pads. However, all right, so we've got our brake here. If you need to take this thing apart, right here's one of the screws, and right here is the one that's going to give you a pain, because this one right here is directly in line with this steerage nut right here. Okay, and you can get to it with a short one like this. If you've got a T-handle one, it's going to be very difficult because your T-handle is going to run into the steering bar right here. You can see it right here by my thumb. Okay, I suggest that you use one of the L-shaped ones, and even this little Nico one, there's not enough room in there to get everything in there. So really, this is the best kind. And again, when you take this thing apart, you're going to take this screw off right here, and there's either going to be 2 spacers there, or if you have the fender mount there, the fender mount's going to be there. When you go to put it back in, just like on the other side, on the right side, try to get something like a couple of toothpicks or whatever to line everything up. It'll make it a lot easier putting it back together. The only hard part you might have is if you end up having to replace the rotor here, and you have to take the whole tire apart in order to do that. You can tell, I don't know if you can see it right now because of the bright light, but there's screws that hold this in place right here. So you got to take the brake off, take the tire off, then unscrew these and put your new rotor on. That's how you do it. Okay? It's really, you know, these brakes are pretty simple now that I've had a chance to play around with them and do all that. I still need to adjust this one. It is definitely out of adjustment. But that'll take me about 10 minutes, and then I can go back to work on doing the electrical stuff on this, which I've been also working on. And so I'm going to go ahead and end this video. You know, if I was a professional, I could do it a lot better. But I'm not. I'm just your average guy, just like you are. You know, average folks doing average things with a very complicated piece of machinery here. Or so it seems like to us. But anyways, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, that notification button, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on Facebook, and that could make a big difference in future videos. And we do have some other ones in store, in the planning stages here. We're going to talk about rewiring the Bafang and a couple other modifications that I'm doing to this thing. Alright, cool. Talk to you later. Alright, so here we got the brake. It's just laying up here on the tire. Okay, this is how it's going to look on your bike. It's going to be looking like that. Okay, there's a couple of things here that I want to show you. Number one, you can see the top of the pads right here and right here, and you can see the little spring thing that holds them together. There's a screw in here, right here, that holds it all together. When you get your Shimano brake pad kits, you'll notice right here in the bag, I don't know if you can see it right there, but right there at the end, there is a cotter key. Okay, do you see the cotter key right there? That's what they use on theirs. This one actually has a threaded little screw. Okay, there's also a little screw right here, and there is an adjustment right here. This is your non-moving side adjustment. And as we look at this brake, caliper brake, and we rotate it around, you're going to see this information right here. And as we continue to rotate it around, you're going to see El Hanga. You don't see a model number anywhere on this thing. That's why I had to contact TerraTrike. Now let's get back to this information right here. It says F180 and R160. What this means is, if you use this on a front wheel, your rotor can be a size 180 rotor. And if you use it on a rear wheel, you need to use a 160 rotor. I don't know why that is. I just know that it is. I also know that this section right here, and you can tell I had some problems putting this together before I remembered a trick that I should have remembered a long time ago when putting this back on. This is the mounting thing, or the mounting bracket that mounts to the bike itself. And then this part right here to right here is your actual brake. So your actual brake is just this upper part. And when you do this, okay, there's your braking mechanism right there. You cannot adjust this screw right here. This is what holds everything together. So if I look here, and I'm looking down at the brakes themselves that go in right here, okay, you can see your two pads there. I don't think these pads are very worn from the looks of them right now, but I'm going to replace them anyway because I do think that they need to be adjusted. All right, so next I'm going to show you how to do that.